Last month, the IORA Cup Series finished its most exciting championship race in a head-to-head battle in the Las Vegas Valleys between Jacob Wilkerson and now three-time champion Daniel Mosteller. We're back in February to kick it off all over again. Welcome to Season 7. This is the IORA Cup Series, and tonight we get things started for 2025. The Cup Series begins with a 250-mile event, a test of endurance and skill at the Daytona International Speedway. It's our third race this week on FTN at the World Center of Racing. It'll be our third of 4, with our next coming very soon. But tonight, the focus begins with a Thursday night crew in the IORA Cup Series as racing begins in less than 10 minutes. Open qualifying is on the way for more than 30 drivers, our biggest attendance for an open of season event in league history. I'll be your host for tonight's broadcast. I'm David Kreutz, commentating and producing. This series, always well anticipated, and it's coming off the back of its most exciting title fight between its best drivers. Now, with more than 30 already registered for tonight's festivities, we're looking forward to what is going to be an exciting season opener with top-level talent. Taking a look downstairs to the circuit, right now drivers are getting their times, and many of which going to be in this massive pack we're seeing coming into turns 1 and 2. At the top of the board so far will be nobody. Not a driver to set a time so far. Jaquay Carter has provisional pole position, only because Carter is not with the pack and instead finds himself all alone. But as he comes down the super stretch, here comes the super pack, led by Aladam Contreras and company, going double file. And a notable shift in attitude, perhaps, with how this series will perceive itself. The IORA Cup Series is looking forward to making its name as one of the premier leagues on Thursday nights with top talent and strength in numbers. Going to be contact there with Alexander Balderas as he's taken up the track. And it looks like now a smaller group remains to battle it out for the pole position. Contact way further behind. Contreras coming across the stripe here. He'll be with Michael Mitchum. And Cooper Glick has the provisional pole. Time still to spare, 1 minute and 45 seconds on the clock. And it looks like now the number 10 peels right out. Rookies making their way in, drivers like Mitchum looking for a sophomore season, and some drivers who have been with us since the beginning, all coming together tonight. This big pack is the best chance to put in a pole position time as we look at Michael Mitchum here. Mitchum, the number 38, winning in debut, 4 consecutive pole positions last season, but was not a full-time competitor for the playoffs and couldn't make it into the top 5 in the point standings. Right now, he runs in a real good spot with 1 minute and 12 seconds left, and he'll come across the line again with a lot of support. Meanwhile, the second pack has begun here with Jim Thurston and company. Then you look back, Corbin Collins running in a 2-car enterprise. Still no major changes. Cooper Glick has that provisional pole. Running in the middle of this big grouping helps out the most for these drivers, just so they're not the ones who are burning all that energy up in front. Using the draft, trying to pull some of that speed up high. 2 drivers go, and both of them going to be rookies. The number 26 of Jacob Malone right there in the Monster Energy car. Watch out for the new names and new faces tonight, a lot of which we have not yet met, and they're all running in this pack. You've got guys like Clip, of course, and Carter, who we've seen beforehand. Josh Kenyon returning once more. Braxton Whitaker, who's been with us since the very first race. But at the tail end of that pack are some of the new drivers. Still, Cooper Glick's top time has not been topped. And with 11 seconds left on the scoreboard here, with little time, it looks like the 0-5 of Glick will capture the pole position. He's got internet troubles, but no issue taking it to the top of the board. That is Cooper Glick with your pole position tonight. Quick time, 47.158. Driver still coming across the line here just to make sure that it is official. There's Bomar and company. James Bomar looking for a fast run here. Let's see what the number 20 can do, building up that speed. He is not going to take his foot off the throttle as he comes across the line. Bomar, 47.581. Won't be good enough, but it was a quick finish as he gets turned around. Big contact overall. Jaquay Carter spinning in the triple-digit threat. And huge incident, Devin Baker comes across the line. Jacob Wilkerson winning the Saturday Night Thunder event at Daytona. Maybe a chance to go for another win at the high banks. He comes through to end his qualifying run of 47.859, rather underwhelming. Wilkerson will be 18th as he hops up and over, back to turn 1. Qualifying has concluded and it's official. Corey Lyles instead grabs the pole in his last second attempt. Glick put back to P2. Track clears once again here in Daytona, and the field gets put together. Right now, waiting for the back of the field to get all together. You see the iRacing official pace car. Walker not yet back on the track. There's Drew Lyles. There's Reese Evans. There's Daniel Mosteller in line. Now, let's get to know that starting grid. From the inside of row number 1 comes Corey Lyles. Lyles grabbing the pole position to kick off the season. He's your season 3 winner at Daytona. He hasn't gone back to victory lane ever since. It'll be Cooper Glick who finds himself on the outside of row 1, qualified in 2nd place. Then you got Elijah Innes in 3rd and Luigi Gonzalez finding himself in 4th. James Bomar P5 and Michael Deitch will be 6th, with 7th spot on the order being Bryce Kohler. Josh Kenyon is going to start in 7th tonight. Alexander Valderas P8 with Aladon Contreras 9th, Michael Mitchum P10, and Chase Modzalesqui coming back again. Chase in number 36. He's P12 tonight. You've got then 13th place. That'll be the driver of the number 006, Jacque Carter. Braxton Whitaker will start 14th with 15th place, then going to Henry Kaloff. Jacob Malone, one of the rookies up in front, he'll find himself position number, according to timing and scoring anyway, you'll see him right there in 16th. 17th goes to Sean Rowe, Jacob Wilkerson in 18th, and Jim Thurston then 19th place, with 20th being Frank DeAngelis, Alex Anderson 21st, Skylar Comstock 22nd, Douglas Newbigging and Aiden Walker positions 23 and 24. 25th place will then and there be just behind in Devins Baker. Liban Lear will be 26th with Corbin Collins, Andres Varos, Jason Semedo, and Daniel Mosteller rounding out the top 30. The defending champ starting 30th on the dot. Van Drugman 31st, Aaron Schugel 32nd, Jerry Rodriguez coming back, the one-time race winner. He's there in 33rd. P34, Reese Evans, Will Shack will be 35th, Wayne Kennedy will be P36, and lastly, it'll be Drew Lyles, 37th, and last on your starting grid here in Daytona. Drivers falling out 2x2 fashion, exiting pit road, and hitting the racing circuits. Daniel Mosteller, defending champion, finding himself all the way back. Champion in seasons 1, 2, and 6. Took the season off in season 3. Second in the championship standings, season 4. Third in the title standings in season 5. And now he finds himself back on top. Demos looking for another strong run tonight. He won this event in season 5. He's one of the kings of SuperSpeedway Racing in IORA action. No doubt he'll be one of the racing favorites tonight. The field assembles once again. The field is assembled with a Lyles in first and a Lyles in last. Although they're not related, Corey and Drew Lyles are first and 37th positions respectively. Corey tonight, of course, looking for his second win in this race. It would be his first win in nearly 2 full years. Corey last got it done when the IORA Cup Series raced with the truck package, so it's been a long time and it's a different look for this league, but no doubt about it, Corey still has the pace. Cooper Glick's best ever finish was in season 3 at Talladega. He bagged a podium in a chaotic finish. That also was nearly 2 full years ago. So he's looking for a chance to bring his 05 back to relevance. He'll be racing for SKS Motorsports tonight. Lyles racing with Kaloff Deitch Racing after the acquisition of the KDR crew over the middle of last season. iRacing official pace car will say goodnight and let the field get back to work. We have been here many times before, but for the first time in its history, IORA Cup Series says hello to Season 7. Green flag out, Corey Lyles leading. Let's get back to business through turns 1 and 2. Lyles to the point, he'll lead lap number 1. With them an assembly of guys including Kohler, Balderas, and Mike Mitchum. So familiar faces all around going to find themselves up in front and expecting to see a much calmer procedure tonight, as we will the rest of the season. Notable changes made over our time away. Well, it's official at long last. The IORA Cup Series has officially removed the faster pair, meaning that second chances are, for the first time in this series history, a no-go. You start with what you get, and you have to take it to the finish. Damage, of course, can be repaired on pit road, but if you're totaled, you're totaled. And that's how it goes. So drivers have to be warned tonight that you don't want to make any silly moves. That's why we're not seeing all too much of that 3 wide. Season 4, we had a lap 1 tri-oval wreck. It happened in the very first moments of the race. It hasn't happened since in such a dramatic fashion, but be warned, it could happen in that route once again. Michael Deitch finds himself side by side there with Thurston. Frank DeAngelis just ahead of a 3-wide maneuver. Now the 71 goes high. Douglas Newbigging. Doug taking it up to the top side. Looks like he's got himself some room to try and squeeze in. Can't quite make it happen just yet. 3 wide now is becoming a real possibility, and I think it's a certainty. Thurston to the point. The 96 now having some room on the high side to try and compete up in front. He'll be side by side with Luigi Diaz. All the while, James Bomar blocks him. Now we're seeing some more risky racing. 3 wide up in front. Corey Lyles now finds himself, that number 56, leading in a rather chaotic situation. 3 wide all beyond, but the 56 is the only driver that can escape scot-free if something is to happen. Mike Mitchum now finding himself middle of 3 wide, a very tricky spot to be in. 1 driver backing out. That's the number 29, who's going to fall back to the side. Frank DeAngelis moves up ever further as Thurston clears 3 lanes, going up to your overall race lead. That will give Bomar P2, and it looks like now Thurston going to block the middle. 37 drivers, a record field for this league at Daytona. There's the consequence. Elijah Innes goes right up the track. Yellow flag out for the first time tonight. They're still wrecking. Drugman barrels into Innes. Caution's out. First yellow flag of the day. And just like that, big trouble. Spinning it back a minute, we'll show you just what happened. Elijah Innes still trying to pull things together after that one, and the caution is out. Here's an instant replay showing you as it happened, coming toward the line here. Innes was already spinning around by the moment we focus on him, and you could see there Elijah making contact then with the rest of the field. Alex Anderson getting away, looked like Newbigging catching a piece, Jacob Malone going up to the wall, and multiple other drivers still spinning around. We'll pull it back a few moments to show you how it was the lap before everything went down here as the yellow flag flies. Starts in the middle of this pack, of course, where the big chaos is, but Elijah Innes sets it off here. Elijah in that number 1, bottom of 3 wide, looked to be a safe spot, but he gets instead turned back up the track. So looks like that safety really not going to come into play. River Page and Chase Schaefer both not starting. They registered. Just a quick update on the 99 and 24. If you see them on the timing screen tonight, they would not have started. All the while, Innes was down on the bottom, and so Thurston makes that move, blocking in the middle of 3, and a little bit of a stack up right there. Innes is on the bottom here. You see that accordion. Drivers compress, glick, contact from Diaz, and Innes is the fall guy. Up into number 26 of Malone. Then a huge hit immediately after. Another rookie getting involved. Contact. Just like that, the field comes apart. The second incident begins just after the fact. You see Van Drugman and company. Drugman turned. The 84 of Varas gets contact. And the 94 of Semedo. Aiden Walker slightly makes some nose contact there. Should be fine. Multiple drivers make it into pit road here, either for service or for damage repair. But now it looks like your overall race leader will be Aaron Schugel. He gets settled to go in once more. Jacob Malone headed down to pit road here. Number 26. Getting himself repaired, as is Henry Katloff. You see there the triple-digit threat, the 006. There's Jacquet Carter. 36 of Chase Modzelewski. And now, beaming into pit road, that's Wayne Kennedy. Kennedy in his first start. All the while, the 87 of Daniel Mosteller, defending champ, is back out on track. Racing in tonight's event, all but one champion registered, all but two champions on track. River Page and Sean Conklin, both of which won't be with us on the field tonight. Page registered, not able to get things going, and Sean Conklin did not start nor register. But Thurston, of course, and Daniel Mosteller on track. Those two combined responsible for 4 championships in this series. Page and Conklin alike responsible for 1 apiece. The field assembles once again. Von Drugman retiring after that incident. Jerry Rodriguez right now still on pit road. Jason Semedo, Reese Evans, likewise. They have not retired, but they're now 1 lap down. If you take a look now, we'll split your timing screen. Bottom side, we'll show you exactly what's going on for the rest of the field. Top 10 remain, of course, in full focus. Jacob Malone also disconnecting. Looks like too much damage for him to keep things moving, and unfortunately the rookie retires in his first few laps of competition, only making it 5 on the day before the wreck, and 2 drivers have backed it out. We have 35 left on track, 33 left on the lead lap, and we'll go green once again, accompanied by the 91 of Aaron Schugel. James Thurston, same paint scheme, different number. The 96 looking a little bit different on that side panel, taking away his iconic sharp-edged number 96 and going for a bit of a round direction. Thurston tonight starting up in front. Well, he didn't. He went from 19th up to 2nd in this first stint, but notably Schugel has gone from 32nd up to 1st. His teammate grabbed the pole position and is still inside the top 5 to this point. Kaloff Deitch Racing right now. They're the only team with multiple drivers inside of the top 5. Power Smash Infinity Speed Motorsport with 1 representative in Thurston, and of course the independents in Mike Mitchum and Frank DeAngelis. iRacing official pace car to the points, and here we go. Schugel and the inside line hold not only control and strength in numbers, but also the quality of the field here. All those drivers bunched up down low, some of which already move up high, and now Aaron, blocking both lanes, keeps the outside in check. Aaron Schugel now going to find himself working down low, line leader, while his teammate is second on the outside. Mike Mitchum will be presented with an opportunity. We'll see whether or not he decides to take it. He could either go up high, as he did, or he could have stayed low. Now you're starting to see drivers making those decisions, which might not be critical for now, but you have to consider what the right thing is to do and when it is the right thing. 8 laps in out of 100, but here on FTN, we've gone for already 220 laps at Daytona so far this week, and after this race, we'll have 80 more with the Highline Racing League. It's been Daytona week on FTN, and we've learned quite a few lessons with the Ignite and Octane series. First and foremost, it's that oftentimes cautions determine strategy, not the green flag pit cycles. Of course, the end goal is that we'll have at least one green flag cycle, which would be about 40 laps in length, but it's never a promise nor a guarantee at Daytona. Don't bet on it. Bet instead on what's real, those yellow flags. One other thing is that communication will remain key all night long, and especially for those drivers who don't have teammates. Well, they've got to watch out and they've got to find friends, even if they don't think they have any, or if they don't at all, they have to make sure they make some. Currently, looking down low, it's going to be that number 35. That's Lieben Van Leer. Lieben, very first start for this number 45 crew. Of course, the 35 tonight, and the Ford Mustang now makes moves, getting second on the inside. Rookie's got a shot now to help out with Mike Mitchum. Mitchum, one of the best acclaimed drivers in all of simulation racing, and the kid's not even able to drive a car legally. Under the age of 16, and Mitchum has become an NASCAR superstar, the youngest driver ever to hold more than 10,000 iRating, and now, of course, he keeps things moving. That 38 to the point again at the line. He's got the race lead. This is where the IORA Cup Series has excelled in lieu of now the NASCAR Road to Pro Series. Drivers, a lot of these guys younger than 20 years of age, coming out and honing in their skills. We've seen Joseph Armstrong, who was top 5 in the round 1 standings of Road to Pro, Chase Schaefer, Daniel Mosteller, Mike Mitchum, not to mention Coke Series drivers like Parker White trying their hands at this series, and they've been giving some very strong competition. Not always do these pro drivers come into this field and dominate. Oftentimes guys like Thurston Mosteller and Schaefer, who have been mainstays here and part-time guys in NASCAR racing, they make it a real close title fight, and of course a race fight. So that's where it comes down to the different reputation IORA holds now compared to 2 or 3 years ago. A league that is still on the rise, a league that's trying new things to become more and more realistic. No fast repairs tonight is a big gamble, but for the majority of the field, we're expecting they should be able to make it through just fine. Estimates showing that based on previous races, about 28 drivers should be around at the end of this event. We're accounting for the fact that 1/4 of the field will most likely be done and done by the time, of course, the race ends, which means about 3/4 should be still left. Whether or not they're competitive, of course, that's all up to whether or not they can keep it clean. But usually, about 20 plus are on the lead lap. All the while, Mitchum still leads. Right now, with Mike Mitchum at the helm, how about we get to know some of the guys in the field who you might have not met so far if you're a brand new viewer. And the first of which is Mike Mitchum. You've, of course, gotten his introduction to this point. We've introduced him. So, with that being said, we'll move on to the rest of the field. Mitchum, of course, a one-time race winner, multi-time pole sitter, and a part-time competitor last season. He's looking for what will be his sophomore campaign, and currently that number 38 leads the way. Aaron Schugel in the 91, he is a veteran, and yet he has never taken home an IORA Cup Series race victory. His closest effort was Auto Club Speedway in Season 5, in which he was the second best man to Alexander Balderas. Schugel's coming in to what will be his fifth season of IORA Racing, missing seasons 1 and 2 almost entirely and coming in full-time around season 3's beginning. He's racing with, of course, that ever-growing Cal-Off-Deitsch racing operation. Tonight, Aaron Schugel has something to prove, that he too can end up a race winner at the end of night, something which has been rather tricky for Aaron, even though he's proven to have speed before. Late race chaos has gotten in his way, especially in these superspeedways. Josh Kenyon is coming back for his third season. We've seen him part-time since season 5. He's a driver who's gotten well accustomed to these Xfinity cars, and tonight he's running in the car nominally number 10. Expecting him to switch over to his regular number 27 for the remainder of the year, as reflected on the timing screen. Kenyon, so far, no race wins in his career, but multiple times a top 10 and a top 5 finisher. Exciting things to come for the third season vet. James Thurston, however you'd like to call him, he is one of the most accomplished drivers in this league's existence. Title contender since season 2, title winner in season 3. The number 96 is looking to get back into the spotlight. He got himself a few wins last season and currently leads the championship title race in Saturday Night Thunder with 4 consecutive wins, but he hasn't been able to put himself up to the forefront of IORA racing for quite some time now. He's been in the top 5 of the best driver rankings for quite a few years, but ever since that season 3 victory outright, I wouldn't say he's been the best driver. Categorically anyway, he's been close with victories, multiple per season, but Mosteller and Page have usually bested him on a week-in, week-out basis. Nevertheless, Thurston has a lot to prove tonight in that regard, and he finds himself up top as a lapper goes down low. That's the number 77, and there's contact. Drew Lyles involved, and a lapper involves the leaders. Still going, Braxton Whitaker somehow saves it. But again, contact. We saw this on Monday night. It plays out once more. Here's a replay that'll show you the full lap and how it all came down. Monday night, we saw this with the number 97 in the Integrity Ignite Series. And you can see here, Lyles, who's a rookie tonight, and he gets his introduction now, bearing no relation to pole sitter and top 10 runner in Corey Lyles. Instead, Drew coming out for his very first attempt. Unfortunately, he goes into the middle of 3, or the bottom of 3, shall we say. Then it becomes 3 wide racing, and it gets bad from here. We'll see who instigates the contact as we look the full lap back. Down low, contact, and it was Corey into Whitaker, into Drew. And the Lyleses, they're not related, they're not family, but they were both involved in the same wreck. Corey somehow saves it too, and Braxton does as well. Now Corey runs back with Will Shack as we go back to the front of the field. Tricky situation, all things considered. Frank D'Angelo's part-time competitor for several seasons now. He's making his 4th season appearance. He's been here since season 2 and an on or off. We saw him in season 2, saw him in season 5, saw him in season 6. Frank right now, the number 65, running inside the top 5. Not many career accolades to speak of in terms of his IORA experience, and surely that's something to be improved on tonight. Aladam Contreras in number 92. Now following him, another driver who we've seen in NR Night in America racing, but not all too often does he come around for IORA. So another driver who's looking for a victory more than anything else. Aladam in a 92, well known for his M&M's paint scheme. Colorful as it is, he's looking to get himself up front and keep things serious. Now Henry Kaloff has got himself up in front as well. Henry's a driver to watch out for, that number 63. He's not only got himself individual speed, he's a driver in the IORA Cup Series and the OSRL Cup Series and Saturday Night Thunder, but also, as of late, we found him up in front, of course, running in other series like the Crown Jewel Racing League. But most importantly, he is a team owner and he's working with a multi-car operation. His teammates tonight, Lyles, Schugel, Michael Deitsch. Cal-Off-Deitsch Racing has an owner and a man behind it all, and that man is Henry. So far, he's pushing pretty quick and has a chance to keep himself right up in front. pack heads into turns 3 and 4. Good to see Henry making some big moves here. Alexander Valderas, a two-time race winner, also up in front here as we're coming up on another lap. Valderas has been racing since the beginning of this league's existence. He's got himself 2 victories last season in Atlanta, Season 5 in Auto Club. He pulled off upset victories in both instances. And what a joy it would be for the 95 team to pull it off and win here in Daytona. Perhaps one of the biggest upsets of the league's history would be if he was to do so. Aiden Walker was second in the regular season standings last season. Tonight he's in the pink and blue, number 93. Walker was almost entirely the second best driver of the year. Fell apart a little bit later in the playoffs, but when it came down to regular season consistency and pulling off podium finish after a podium finish, there was no one quite like Aiden. Still looking for a victory in the Xfinity Series era of this league. He's been close, but close is not enough. And I'm sure Aiden Walker knows that as he runs right now in this 3-wide shuffle. He's currently in the middle of 3, and it looks like he's got himself comfortably in the fight. Alex Anderson, original league owner and league founder, has also come back on a part-time basis. Last time we saw him racing was that Atlanta event in which Alexander Valderas won. The number 67 representing the Toronto Blue Jays tonight. Nice to see, of course, Anderson back out on the track. One of the guys who made this league what it is today. And without a doubt, it's a pleasure to have him return as IORA has ever expanded in large part thanks to his control. He's racing around, of course, now some of those rookies right around him. Skylar Comstock in the number 60. And, of course, Corbin Collins, who's going in for his sophomore campaign. A few other notables in this battle. You've got Will Shack in the number 31. Shack right now, he finds himself modestly running in 18th. Started in 35th, but he won this event in Season 5. Got the job done, of course, making it through. Sean Conklin, winning it in back-to-back seasons. And for the dominant performance that Sean Conklin put down, quite a shock that to follow it up, it was Will Shack. He's quite the underdog, that number 31, and he's looking for what could be his second career win tonight, his first and only, coming at the World Center of Racing nearly a full year ago. Nevertheless, for Shaq right now, his priority is just to stay in line, keep things calm and collected, and make sure he doesn't get caught up in any wrecks. Moved down to the bottom, that was Frank DeAngelis for the race lead, and everyone stays in one piece. Comstock running the Skull Bandit paint scheme tonight. A nice look, and a throwback design at that. Second half of the field includes some notables as well. You got Bryce Kohler right now running in 19th. Kohler, previously a driver who ran the number 98, moving on to the number 21 on a full-time basis, and it looks like on his paint scheme tonight, the number 29. So Kohler changing things around and getting himself a different look. We'll see that fully established come next week. He's the last driver in this main draft, and he's keeping his distance more than anyone else. He's got some help now from Cooper Glick just to stay in line, and the rest of the field is still holding it just as they want to. Leader of pack number 2, it's Daniel Mosteller, and he's got 7 drivers with him. Demos in the number 87 is the most statistically successful driver in IORA Cup Series history. The stat lines, of course, the championships alone explain his significance. He's been here since Season 1. There were some nights where he would race an entire event with nobody else on the track but himself. And now for Mosteller, he's facing off against more and more competition all throughout. And for Demos here, he's looking to wait until the late race becomes ever essential. Season 4, of course, it was Sean Conklin who won at Daytona, but Demos came through from 18th up to 2nd in just 2 laps. He almost got up to the number 87, of course. Sean Conklin, they were right by each other, but Demos could not finish it off. Right behind him, second season driver, Montelesqui, and then you've got Jaquay Carter. Michael Deitch is going to be P23, racing for Cal-Op Deitch Racing. He's been here, he's a veteran, and we know Michael Deitch quite well. Unfortunately, his highlight of last season was getting pushed out of line by Joe Armstrong in a race victory fight, and that was Michael Deitch's perhaps most notable moment, but it wasn't his most successful. Now the Deitch team comes back, gets back to work, of course, at home, returning from his education in Indiana, completing 4-year degree, and now making his way back to Long Island, back to his original sim rig. So hopefully, Deitch can keep things moving, and now he's a little bit more comfortable with the setup. He finds himself just outside of the top 20 with Braxton Whitaker right with Douglas Newbigging and Devins Baker. Baker tonight net number 14, flipping the paint scheme quite literally. The black has become white, the white has become black, and the TikTok number 14 looks good. A brand new refresh as he takes it back to the night circuit here in Daytona. Wayne Kennedy brand new in 27th. Andres Vara, second season in the number 84. He's currently in 28th, being pushed by the number 020. Bomar, James Bomar, finding himself even further behind, and Luigi Diaz-Gonzalez is now the first driver 2 laps down in that number 44. He's working in pack number 2 for now. Jerry Rodriguez is a one-time race winner. You got to go all the way back to season 2 in Lanier to remember that name at the top of the board. And right now, J-Rod is 8 laps down, hoping for a miracle in all honesty if he wants a shot back. Reese Evans is going to be 8 laps down as well. Reese works with Bomar. Rodriguez works with Varas. Drew Lyles also has not gotten back on the track, so it looks like his night has come to a close. Drew, unfortunately, caught up in that incident beforehand, and, well, he caught Corey and Braxton, and Drew got the worst of it. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, we've introduced quite a few of our veterans and now some of the rookies looking to take hold. Up on the high side, you'll see guys like Kenyon, Liben Van Leer, and Corbin Collins, the sophomore driver, up against multi-season drivers who know what it's like, who have been here many a time. To the bottom group comes Aladam Contreras, and it looks like now Contreras holds control right down low. All these drivers, looks like they played pretty well with the fact that we don't have another faster pair in the tank. Drivers who know that, well, they race quite differently, and giving that restriction oftentimes improves the racing quality, even if it means one mistake can ruin a driver's race. And of course, if you know that a mistake can be a race ender, you try to make fewer mistakes. The opportunity to be needlessly risky, it dissipates, it disappears, and you get a more mature form of racing as we're seeing right now. I think that's one of the best things that's come out of this major change in the racing attitude of the IORA Cup Series. You don't have to worry all too much that these guys are going to blow through each other all night long with risky and over-aggressive decisions. Instead, they're just going to make sure that they mind their manners and hold out for the entire race. And sometimes that makes for a less raw, entertaining product, but at the same time, gives us longer, more natural runs where strategy comes hold, and we love to see that strategy play out at Daytona, especially drivers who know how to use Daytona. They make the most of it. Down low, Bomar goes, as does the number 77 of Reese Evans, and they're going to use that apron nicely there so they won't get in the way of the leaders. It's going to be 2x2, rocketing up front. Just about 20 drivers connected to this main pack going all the way to the tail end, which includes Will Shack and Bryce Kohler, and about half of the field keeping themselves up here. And now the gambles are starting to be played in terms of track position, not just the fuel and tire strategy, but also where you want to be and where you end up plays a significant role in whether or not you succeed in a race like this. Drivers who are hedging their bets on maintaining up in front expect either for the long run to continue or for track position to remain superior. You can't make it up 30 places in one lap, so the bet is to keep yourself up in front, top 10, top 15, so that if something does happen, you can quickly get yourself up there without having to worry about making overly risky moves. For drivers who are not in the main pack, for the guys you're not seeing right now, they're betting on something a little bit different. They're expecting perhaps that the race will hang on for a little while longer under green, then you'll get a yellow or two, and then you'll have an opportunity to head down to pit road once again. And when that happens, everyone gets bunched up, everyone's on the same strategy, and you go from there. Track position as it is right now won't matter as much if that comes to pass. I think right now for some drivers, particularly those running in packs 2, 3, and so on, that's their ideal strategy. That's the one they absolutely want to see play out in real time. Daniel Mosteller's got a real nice connection going here. He got all the way down to Elijah Innes in 34th, so give or take about 10 drivers in this bunch. You see right there ahead is Douglas Newbigging, and it looks like Doug here in that number 71 is still going to be way back in line, just taking in the draft. A little bit of back-end damage after a previous incident, but just enough pace in him to stay in this groove. "34 laps in, out of 100. Last time the yellow flag came out was at lap number 6 here, so we've gone nearly 30 laps on this run. An impressive feat so far for the field. Keep in mind, if we stay green, the pit road window under green would open at lap number 45 and close at about 55 tonight. Various depends, of course, whether or not a driver went down to pit road beforehand. Some did, some didn't, and luckily we can find out who did what. Take a look at the left side of your screen here and telemetry will show you. Some drivers went down to pit road lap 6 or 7, but notice the drivers on the left side of your screen where it says their last pit lap was 0. Of the top 10, only one driver falls in that category. That is Aaron Schugel, which means Schugel is the only guy in the front-running field here who has decided to hold off and not go down a pit road at all. As a consequence, he's decided to keep himself in the middle of the pack. Although he's been able to keep himself up front and keep an extra set of tire, it also means that he has to be a little bit more careful on this stint so he can stay on par with the rest of the strategic battlefield. Nevertheless, he'll come down to pit road very early here, decide to hedge his bets with his teammates, and with them, Kohler comes sliding. That's going to be a penalty for Kohler. One tire is right off the track. As such, Kalof Dice Racing goes in early. And it's a tricky call. Oh, Kalof hitting the wall, missing his stall. Same went for Aaron Schugel. Talk about a bad entry. Kohler now makes it in. Looks like Lyles will get away without incident, but a team collapsing on pit road. Hedging bets early. Keep in mind tonight that the full fuel cell will go for 40 laps, but drivers have to deal with an 80% limit, which means that the pit road window for the guys who are hedging early opened up right about now, but the traditional window comes in at about lap 40-45, so we'll see drivers even earlier than traditionally anticipated. 80% fuel load, 40 laps. For some, would be a pipe dream. But for what it's worth now, drivers getting back on the way. There's Bryce Kohler. It looks like Kohler will only be one lap down and getting lucky as iRacing officiation does not call anything out of the ordinary. Matter of fact, Bryce will get back in line rather quickly here, although sent down to the apron. And Bryce's opportunity goes right away. Now going to be alone without any assistance. Daniel Mosteller making a call on the iRacing chat room. Very simple, 2 numbers, 39, which indicates perhaps that he'll enter pit road in 2 laps time here. Daniel comes across the line once again, staying out. Watch out for pack number 2 in the next 2 laps. It looks like they might be signaling to come in a little bit earlier than the main pack. Frank DeAngelis leads, Mike Mitchum second, 3rd place, Josh Kenyon. Leaders are running single file now, all the way back to guys like Braxton Whitaker and company. You see there's the second pack. They're also running one by one. Looks like now the double file wave racing has come to a brief and temporary close as we're expecting to see drivers head into pit road and figure things out for themselves. River Page and Mason Moriarty so far in the chat room. Thank you both for stopping by. We're just getting started here, and we're looking forward to an exciting event. Jacque Carter giving a signal to go to pit road, and Carter looks like he's going to come in on his own accord here. As everyone now giving the signal. Michael Deitch, Kenyon, Innes, Van Leer, all deciding this is the time. Lap number 39. Now drivers are unified in this belief. This is the one. We'll see pit road get busy real fast. Frank DeAngelis, this time through, dives in. Green flag pit stops are fully underway. A pack of 6 come together here, and it looks like they're backing it down as one. No troubles. DeAngelis makes it through, as does course, Mitchum, as does Deitch, as does Kenyon, and now Aladam Contreras will be left the race lead of a smaller main pack. Moreover, Daniel Mosteller now takes his second pack in. He has with him Jacque Carter. Of course, the number 36 is coming right through. There's going to be Luigi Gonzalez, Michael Deitch, Elijah Innes, Braxton Whitaker, all coming through, and there's no issues there either. Contreras now has a job to do. Bring them all in. Finish it off, and take the rest of the pack together. For lap number 40, Contreras decides to stay on the wide grooving here, but he'll make it in just fine. With them, of course, comes Alexander Balderas, the Skull Bandit, and then Jacob Wilkerson, Aiden Walker as well, and Comstock is that number 60, whereas you see, Frank DeAngelis already went through. Thurston now your race leader overall. And that leaves 3 drivers out in the head. Thurston now heads the field. Alex Anderson is going to be P2, and Corbin Collins will be in third. These drivers have to come in very soon here, so expecting them to make their way in either this lap or the next. And the call on the field for the number 96 is this is it. Now it's going to be 3 more drivers, and the 3 last drivers to come through, as your net race leader appears to be Aiden Walker, according to timing and scoring. Walker's now making his way right out of pit road. He's got a big pack with him, and it looks like Aiden has the advantage. The 93 takes Wilkerson and company with, and it looks like now, outside, we could see a second groove fly right through. Led now by guys like Frank DeAngelis, there's a faster pack coming up on the Wilkerson company. And you'll see here, we might have a battle for the race lead to behold as more than 20 drivers get connected once again. Thurston now to be on his way. He's got Alex Anderson right there with them, and so the 96 wants to beat out desperately the pack that is coming at full speed. Power Smash Infinity Speed Motorsports, the team captain, is back on the way, and he's still scored as your overall race leader. However, he is significantly slower than the pack behind him, and they're due to be swallowed up very quickly here. Aiden Walker now coming through. He's got himself the overall lead, and now taking it up high here comes the big field coming up on their smaller prey. 2 drivers off race pace. Walker to the points. Now 43 laps in out of 100, it's double file racing once again. Looking at what could be a 35-40 lap pit cycle rather than 45 at the maximum. Drivers are going to expect to go for a little bit of a shorter approach when it comes to their fuel cell tonight, and that's going to give us more green flag strategy so long as we keep things under green. Expecting our second and potentially final green flag pit stops of the night to come down at lap number 70, give or take anyway. Drivers should be keeping themselves double file if they want to get there once again. The issue right now is, of course, whether or not they decide to become a little bit more aggressive after going that route and going so long under green. Does someone give, and do we see a break? Alexander Balderas looking a little bit high here. There is a lapper who's got to get out of the way. That'll be Devins Baker. Baker stays up to the top of the circuit. No issue now as the number 14 gets out of line and out of mind for the rest of the field. Baker is now going to be one lap down. Doesn't look like any significant damage, just off with regards to strategy. And Devins will get back up in that pack and hopefully hang on here. We'll see what he can do. With Baker now put one lap down, he'll be the lucky dog driver in case of any incident. And he finds himself far ahead from a driver like Andres Varas, but only for the number 84 to pass by. James Beaumar additionally right now, the 020, going to be working with pack number 2. 5th to 29th on the day for Beaumar, so when it comes down to the numbers anyway, it's been a day of dropping back. 24 spots officially when it comes down to the numbers, but there's still a lot of time for strategy to play out. Don't think Beaumar's worried all too much about how it looks on paper for the time being. It's more about that success in the late term than anything else. So with that said, Beaumar runs with Daniel Mosteller leading this second group. Demos is in 19th right now. He's gone from 30th up to 19th place. He's up 11 on the day, and I'm sure now he's hedging his bets on at least one more incident to get back in the fight when all is said and done. Of course, that bet is no guarantee now. Frank DeAngelis up to the race lead. Take a look at the back end of this number 43 car. You'll see Jacob Wilkerson. You'll see Mike Mitchum. DeAngelis has a great view just behind. Wilkerson keeps him honest, but no doubt Frank DeAngelis is not done. He's keeping the race lead here. It looks like he's comfortable up in front. Mike Mitchum stays side by side, but no real advances are being made across the guys who lead these respective grooves. Instead, their primary focus remains in keeping it up in front and maintaining position, which is optimal right now for long-term success. 100 laps on the table tonight. We've gotten through a total of 47 so far. We're coming toward our 48. If you're watching live on FTN, well, you must know we have another race coming at you immediately after this race concludes. 9:30 p.m. Eastern, the Highline Racing League will come back in action once again for an 80-lap feature, their Daytona 200. Kicking the race off at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, and we'll be using the Gen 6 stock cars with the Highline Racing League. A few seasons with the Xfinity car, the decision has been made to take it back in time, and this time go back with the Gen 6 cars. So an exciting race coming up after, of course, tonight's opening festivities. As always on these Thursday nights, the doubleheader. The IORA Cup Series kicks things off. The Highline Racing League keeps things moving, and they come together. 7:30, 9:30, 2-hour blocks. Some drivers have experience in competing in both series. Michael Deitch, for one, who's done it beforehand. He'll be racing in the OSRL Cup Series Daytona Duels this week. He'll be going with his teammate in Henry Kaloff to that event as well. Frank DeAngelis now going to keep himself down low. One driver up high, that is Corey Lyles. And Lyles makes his move up to the top groove here. Looks like he has nowhere else to go as Sean Rowe comes right by him. Last season, Sean Rowe finished second in our Daytona opener. Daniel Mosteller, Demos winning the Daytona race and the championship, something that has not been done before in this league, and he was able to break that curse. Sean Rowe was just a few thousandths away from getting the job done for that victory, however. The difference, just about 41 thousandths of a second. And for as close as it was, of course, Rowe couldn't get the job done. So Sean tonight looking to recover and improve. Currently, that number 29 is running inside of the top 10. Currently going to be officially scored in the 7th position. He's got some good company around him, but so far his paintbrush racing guys aren't all too close. He's got teammates on track, many of which either further ahead or far further back, such as one driver that we got to keep an eye on, Jacob Wilkerson. He's in that category that is ahead, however. Wilkerson right now getting himself right behind Frank DeAngelis. At the halfway marker, Frank DeAngelis leads Mike Mitchum by 9 1/1000ths of a second, and here comes the three-wide brigade. For right now, it's only two drivers and their teammates, Lyles and Aaron Schugel, and Call-Off Night Racing tries something risky here. Team owner lies back. He'll let his teammates do the thing that they want to do, go aggressive, go high. But it won't last for all too long without some extensive support. Currently, that's not what we're seeing on the high groove, but either way, using that side draft well, Corey Lyles is making it a real possibility for he and the 91 to hang tough here. Any support, and in all honesty, he would be good to go. It just looks like for now he doesn't have that on him. And of course, we'll see whether or not the bubble bursts before drivers go up high as well. Too wide has been dominant, and it looks like it's been preferred throughout the day. No faster pairs. Looks like drivers will keep to those lessons learned and decide not to go for any risky behaviors. Mike Mitchum topside 3 wide, so he'll keep that momentum and he'll go up top with it all by himself. So now we see 3 drivers 3 wide on the top, middle, and the bottom. Aladam Contreras stays low, and Aaron Schugel, what a block there, a nasty one, but it pays off. He gets back in line. Contreras having to back off right at the last second. Split-second decision there made by the number 92, and I think that's the one that keeps them all together. Aaron Schugel desperate to get back in line here. He'll leave Lyles and Mitchum to their bidding. It looks like right now, no long-term success and support for the 3 wide. While they've got the lead right now, I don't think it's going to be permanent, of course, so long as it's only 2 drivers up there. You see more like 5 or 10, and that's when a groove really gets going. Shugel's back up there. Contreras may be thinking about it, but he hasn't made any full decision to commit either to the middle or the top. He eyes it, but he hasn't gone for it. Still, 3 wide, and the number 10 right in the middle there, that's Josh Kenyon. Kenyon stays P3. Anderson loses it on his own. The 67 goes sliding, but keeps it together. Here's the replay. The number 67 of Anderson looked like he was loose in the turns 1 and 2, and it looks like, based on the lack of damage, he should be just fine. Going into turn 1, swerves up high, hits Varas, comes down low, keeps it together, and it looked like almost a surefire incident or perhaps a yellow flag. But Alex gets away, as does Varas. Interesting how he just slid up to the top side there and made that contact, but luckily, whatever caused it, it looks like it won't be a long-term issue. Only issue now is that Anderson is outside of the draft, whereas Varas is still there. Alex making that mistake, it's going to cost him, and now it's going to be a smaller pack in front. Slowly but surely, fewer drivers remain, and it's evident now that only the best of the best are up in front and giving it a fair shot. While Will Shack and Alex Anderson try to recover, it looks like right now the focus is on DeAngelis to Glick. A total now of only 15 drivers, the 0-5 being the very last of which running at the tail end of this pack. Outside is officially gone out to thin air. Mike Mitchum, the only driver working at 3 wide, but it looks like that'll change immediately with Corey Lyles coming up. Contreras again given an opportunity to decide. He'll stay in the middle. The outside is dissolved a few times now, but time and again, Corey Lyles gives it a shot. Corey so far has perhaps been the biggest proponent, the biggest pusher on the outside groove, trying to make something work, but even still, success hasn't been found. Lyles and Schugel, for the most part anyway, have kept themselves topside or middle, but Lyles, of course, he finds himself a little bit different. Henry Kaloff stayed all the way tucked down to the low groove, and he still is right there. Michael Deitch, the only one of the teammates outside of pack number 1. Currently, Deitch finding himself in this second groove, led by Daniel Mosteller. Into the bottom side, working on their own. Group number 2 is kept out of trouble and out of harm's way, still anticipating something at the end of the events. Frank D'Angelo is absolutely getting his laps led, and he's got that trust and support from Jacob Wilkerson. Wilkerson, even though he's had opportunities to push to the front on his own accord, he's let D'Angelo's hold it up here, and it looks like these two have worked together rather well. No other duos had that success. The outside's been a little bit of coming and going. Aiden Walker now pushing on the outside. Formerly it was, of course, Lyles or someone like Mike Mitchum. But so far, the 69 and 43 have kept each other locked side by side or nose to tail, where they are in this case, and they've kept it rather comfortable even at this high speed. And speaking of race pace, right now going through the corners at over 185 miles an hour. At times down the straightaways, we're seeing upwards of 190. At the line here, Wilkerson going to be coming through at 188. And a little bit of internet troubles there for the 43. Hopefully those don't manifest into something long term, but you gotta watch out when drivers start to have those flickering incidents just like that. Jacob stays low. A little bit of issue for Cooper Glick beforehand, but that didn't turn out to be anything long term. iRacing is rolling out an update in its next big seasonal change that will show drivers when their connection is bad. It'll be called the Caution Connection Flag, which will take the driver out of timing and scoring and place them automatically down to pit road. So hopefully that will reflect a big change in how drivers race around guys with poor network. Basically, it means that they won't be involved in damage or incidents and won't cause trouble for the upper drivers in the field. That'll come out in a few weeks' time. In the meantime, most drivers here haven't had internet issues, and that's been the big positive, so we don't have to concern ourselves with that all too much. Aladam Contreras, top side 3 wide. Alexander Balderas, he's now bottom side of this big equation. Everyone driving, of course, trying to keep it calm and collected, but strategy starts to keep these drivers wondering, crunching the numbers, thinking about when the right move is to make and how to make it and what it could be. A lot of things go in, multiple factors, all at a time when it comes to these strategic decisions. And it looks like still crunching numbers here. 60 laps in out of 100. Pit window opening up within 10 laps. Knocked out of the bottom of the track. That's Frank DeAngelis. He'll have to back out all the way from the lead to out of the pack. DeAngelis bumped. And it's 3 wide again. This time the 69 not part of it. Take a look. You'll see there Josh Kenyon. And it looks like just a little bit of contact. Walker into Kenyon, into DeAngelis. And one's gotta give. It was the 69. Luckily, Frank in control, getting himself out of the way and not causing anyone else any other issues, but I'm sure that DeAngelis not happy with that one in the slightest. As a result, he finds himself far back on the field and currently finds himself in the middle of those 2 big packs. DeAngelis now is going to be tucking in with Daniel Mosteller if he wants any real shot to run in the draft, but he's so far behind the first pack and so far ahead Mosteller, he really finds himself all alone here, 62 laps in. Horrible news for the number 69. Of course, DeAngelis running so many laps up ahead, but all of a sudden you see drivers go from 3 wide to mostly single file, a little bit of double with Aiden Walker, but it's gone from that aggressive, risky aspect all the way back down to simple and small once again. Nobody going to bite just yet on pit road, but we're coming up at another point where drivers have the chance to head down for strategy. Now it looks like Sean Rowe, the final driver in the lead pack. Trooper Glick is going to lead the second pack now, as that first pack, the big one, is now split into two. 10 drivers all the way up in front, then Glick on down for the rest of this front-running group. And you'll see that Alex Anderson has gotten back in the draft with the help of Will Shack here. Shack doing a great job helping out Anderson despite the trouble that he faced in getting it loose and nearly turned around. It looks like the 67's night is not over in the slightest here. And he's got a real good shot, perhaps, to keep himself in the race-winning battle, even if a yellow flag doesn't fly. Recovering on his own, recovering at full race pace, and being still with the top 15, a very impressive feat, given that more than half of this race has passed and we've ran now nearly 60 laps under green. And for a track that prides itself on that high-speed racing aspect, if you're turned around here at Daytona, you'll find yourself real slow, real fast, even going at 160 miles an hour, which at some tracks is never ever reached. It's a little too slow to keep up with the pack at this circuit. You'd be 25, 30 miles off the pace. "65 laps in, out of 100. Drivers going down to pit road at lap 70 or later would be able to make it to the rest of this race's conclusion without any other worry of an additional pit stop, which would make it overall a 3-stop race, including the pit stop during caution. Aiden Walker down low. Mitchum nearly blocks, and Walker will get it in. The 38 has to back off the maneuver and stay up high while Walker takes the race lead. Another very close instance when it comes to blocking. These drivers have been putting some risky decisions in. Hasn't been all too serious, but that one came real close. Aiden Walker, Mike Mitchum, talk about keeping it tight and keeping it connected. Now the number 38 finds himself careening down the back straightaway. Lyban Van Leer going to be now inside the top 5. Van Leer from 26th up to 4th, the rookie, first career start, and the 35 is up in front and doing a great job with that car. The highest placed rookie in the field, Andres Varos right behind helping out in that sophomore season, one of the drivers going for his second effort. But Van Leer, for a first-time starter, has a real chance at victory. Mike Mitchum still in control. Daniel Mosteller and his pack, it looks like they have not gone down a pit road, but Frank DeAngelis has. DeAngelis is going to go in solo here after that incident. 20th to 17th on the day. Score is a +3, but of course he was leading so many laps he's dropped into the mid-pack after being the dominant driver to open up that second stint. Mosteller and company have not signaled when they will go into pit road, but very likely that every driver will head in at the same time. Demo stays in line single file, and now you're starting to see it once again up here. 68 laps in out of 100. Mike Mitchum looks like he will hold control into our pit cycle, barring another incident like what we saw with DeAngelis here. The 38 is a very safe spot. Aiden Walker runs in second. Third place is now going to be officially scored as Josh Kenyon, and Lyban Van Leer falls a little bit further back. Outside groove, not a lot of guys. Will Shack, the last man on the inside, and we might see 3. Sean Rowe splits a line of 4 and makes it 2 drivers head-to-head, middle and outside. Help for Cooper Glick. He'll decide to go to the outside. Absolutely. And now it looks like still no driver peels in. Lap number 69. Nice lead held for Mike Mitchum in one of our nicest ever Daytona runs. Jim Thurston is finding himself lined up behind Alexander Balderas. Balderas winning that Atlanta race, the mile-and-a-half event at the miniature superspeedway, but hasn't been able to find much luck at these major superspeedway events. Oftentimes, Balderas is usually out of the mix by the end of the first half. Now it looks like tonight might be a little bit of a difference, but unlike in other races where Balderas has maybe gotten that second shot from a faster pair, we don't have that no matter how it turns out. At lap 70, it's official. Final pit stops are anticipated for the rest of the field. Wayne Kennedy is going to give the signal this time through. Wayne, one of the guys who's one lap down, but still going to be right there with that second grouping. And so him going down and in could be a signal of more to come. Kennedy decides to drop through this time by, and so far, looks like he will go alone. Rest of the field stays out. Only one other driver bites, that's Bryce Kohler. And already Jason Sametto down on pit road, 64 laps down. Nevertheless, lap number 70 sees a first bundle, and now you've got the leaders. Here comes Corey Lyles, here comes Schugel, here comes Kaloff. Kaloff Deitch Racing, 1, 2, 3, the team heads in. Mike Mitchum still holds control. Now with the KDR guys going in as they did beforehand a little bit early, it signifies that it is about time once again for the entire pit cycle to come and go. Mitchum's got the lead. Then from there is Aiden Walker. It looks like now that inside grouping will be officially set to go at it. Still, notice that you got Kenyon and Rowe inside and outside. Those two have been holding their leads, of course, very well on their respective grooves. This time around, once again, nobody decides to go, so we'll look for lap number 72, at which point we'll have less than 30 laps remaining. 30 to go that time by, making it now 29 laps left. And the home stretch, it's come rather quickly, but it's already here. Corey Lyles getting on the way here. He's going to be put one lap down by the main field. And it looks like he'll have no choice but to back it down very slow to under 100 miles an hour. And it looks like there's a problem for the Lyles car. Lyles is slowing and fast. Meanwhile, Mike Mitchum takes the leaders down a pit road. Contact! Cooper Glick! Glick takes Wilkerson. Shack out of line through pit road. It looks like we'll stay green. Glick destroyed. Play it back and you'll see what happened. Didn't happen on the racing surface, so unfortunately Glick's mistake, a costly one, will end the races of 3 drivers for the lead, and it looks like consequently the field will get a little smaller. Cooper Glick with a major error, and it looks like he tried to go for the inside dive and hit the wall on the way through. Yellow flag is out as a result of this incident, and you'll see what happened here for Cooper Glick. Your second place qualifiers race has just come to an end, and this is why. Dives in on the bottom, locks up the brakes, slam, gets Wilkerson, and gets Will Shack. Caution is out. Cooper gets back going, and it looks like just enough in him to keep the race pace after the incident, but Glick, contact with Wilkerson, of course, and big ones at that. Yellow flag's out. Only your second caution of the day, and Sean Rowe is your new official race leader. Pit road cycle continues, this time just the rest of the pack heading down and in. With Sean Rowe, Aladam Contreras, and company heading down to pit road, they'll get their final pit stops of the night, pending any additional damage. With that said, we'll take a brief moment to step aside here live on FTN and present some messages from our partners and associates. You're watching unlimited green flag coverage on FTN, and you won't miss a thing with our non-stop during the yellow flag. On the left side of your screen, you'll of course see exactly what's going on with the main portion of this action and our promotions from our partners and associates right at the same time. We'll return after this. You're watching FTN's coverage of the IORA 250. We'll be right back, so stay tuned as we go green within 3 laps.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
This message is brought to you by the rebrand of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This publication may not be reposted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. NASCAR Camping World Ford F-150. NASCAR Xfinity Ford Mustang. NASCAR Cup Series Next-Gen Ford Mustang. Arca Menards. This has been the publication of the redesign and rebranding of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This message may not be reposted, republicated, or rebroadcasted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. Thank you, and thanks for your time.
Once again, welcome.
"24 laps remaining when we go green, and it's about time for our second restart. Mike Mitchum will hold control with Josh Kenyon second, Skyler Comstock, then in P3. 22nd to 3rd on the day for the Comstock crew, and 32nd up to 4th for Aaron Schugel. Men on the move tonight, of course, those two. Skyler and Aaron alike making up a total of, well, if you count 19 and you count 28, you put it together, they made up 47 places, and there's only 38 drivers in this field. So for 2 drivers to put together those numbers, real impressive, and there's still time to spare. They could end up 1-2. Of course, nothing to be guaranteed. The field goes green once again. Mike Mitchum will be the man in first. It's that number 38 looking for his first Daytona win in this series. Josh Kenyon second on the high sign, the Carnomaly number 10. Here we go at it once more. Green flag due to fly, and it will. Here we go. Alex Anderson going to find himself making a swift move to the inside, and now he's got the overall race lead. How about that number 67? From what could have been a race ender when he found himself topsy-turvy into turn 3, saving himself and getting back in the draft, that made the difference. Wonderful to have him up here, of course. This is 3 wide again, and now you start to see the difference between that early friendly competition and then the chaotic nature of the late stage racing here in IORA. 23 laps to go. Next time around, we're going to get things live and loud, unfiltered with the Crank It Up. As always, live on FTN, we bring to you the best camera angles on the market, and we find them courtesy of our friends at TrackCams22.com. Visit TrackCams22.com or Facebook.com/TrackCams to order some of iRacing's best cameras for the best broadcasters on the business. Their gold and silver packs include content for oval, road, pavement, and dirt racing, so whatever you enjoy, whatever you prefer, Track Cams has you covered. It's about time now that we crank things up live on FTN. With 22 laps remaining, you're watching coverage of the IORA 250. Let's go at it, unfiltered and unrestricted, cranking it up with 22 laps to go. Yellow flags out, back of the field, it's the big one. Take a look back as we take the second half of the field as example. It's your third caution of the night, and it happens as those outside the top 20 come aflame. James Bomar contact at the very beginning of it, sending Cooper Glick up into the wall, and then Glick comes down. It's Glick's second incident of the day. This time it looks like he was a bystander to start. Corbin Collins into Braxton Whitaker, Andres Varas catching a major piece. The 84 nearly fully T-boned. Elijah Innes up in the wall, that's a race ender. Will Shack. Horrible hit there for the number 31. The pace car got out of the way at that time. And Shack destroyed, trying to avoid it. Bomar hit again. And there's, of course, Wayne Kennedy in the 038. Elijah Innes also totally destroyed. Right on board Will Shack through this one. It's a wild ride. And his hopes to become a two-time winner of the IORA 250 are dashed. Just one moment. Drops down to the bottom. And that hit with Whitaker blows the motor. Race over. horrible hit all around. 19 laps to go, the field is silent. Coming through the start-finish line, of course, back past the tri-oval. Since once again everyone went through pit road last time by, strategy should be closed for the night. In essence, everyone's gone through, done their due diligence, went to pit road when necessary, and now we move forth. The most exciting thing becomes who gets it at the very end. 18 laps to go. This is your third caution of the night. We went 60 plus without a yellow flag, and unfortunately, this run, of course, ends less than 5 laps in. At 9:30 p.m. Eastern, things get started for the Highline Racing League. Their action going to begin at the virtual Daytona International Speedway as well. So as soon as this broadcast comes to a close, we'll switch gears, quite literally, make our way over to the Daytona session for the Highline Racing League and bring you 80 laps of coverage for their events. Aiden Walker getting a chance to lead this race, and it will be, of course, his restart as control car. For Walker, last time he was in this position at a SuperSpeedway race in IORA, he got wrecked out in the tail end of the event. It was he and Daniel Mosteller going toe-to-toe, not only for the race, but also for the regular season championship last season in Talladega. That night, Mosteller eventually came away with the race victory, but within 20 laps to go, Walker was still a prime contender, and he was fighting for that race lead. But when he got swept up at a front of the field wreck, his night was done. No chance to come back, and the terminal damage sent them to pit road for the night. Whereas Mosteller came away with a race victory, Walker ended up sitting second place in the regular season standings, and without that victory and without that momentum, ended up being Mosteller's championship as he marched on for his third title in 6 seasons. Walker takes high. Mitchum takes low. "16 laps remaining as we head back green. Another rookie who's gotten up there. We saw beforehand some of the top drivers have been these new guys, and Skyler Comstock is no exception. Comstock now in the number 60 has gone from 22nd up to 3rd, back inside the podium at a plus 19 on the day. The Skull Bandit is inside the podium and runs on the high side of that second row. With the outside having control, expect Comstock to have the opportunity now to take it up to second, or maybe a little bit higher, depending on how good that launches off the line. Green flag will fly again. Walker will be, of course, its leader. Mike Mitchum has Josh Kenyon, James Thurston, and Frank DeAngelis, with Alexander Balderas the last man on its inside to conclude the top 10. Henry Kaloff now has his teammate Naren Schugel, and it looks like those two will be together for the first time all night long, whereas Corey Lyles, your pole sitter, finds himself 1 lap down now in 23rd. Walker holds control and the green flag flies with 16 laps remaining. Inside groove gets away, and it looks like now going to be largely single file to get the ball rolling. Henry Kaloff is going to be there with Aaron Schugel. Now let's see what these teammates do and focus on the inside of the number 63. Kaloff Deitch Racing has been sending 4 cars to the circuit every week in IORA action. From Alexander Balderas' perspective, he's down low. He can't see all too much, but if we focus with Kaloff here, he'll see contact. Comstock saves it! But only for more contact. Comstock turned. Kaloff involved. Yellow flag is out. Big hits. It's your 4th of the day. Take a look at this one. 1 lap back. He just waved the green. It doesn't seem like that lasted all too long. For Skylar Comstock here, he was on the high side. That number 60 fell back big, and that's where the incident began. His drivers came down the back straightaway here. Alex Anderson on the bottom, and the 67 looked to have no issue. Number 60 looked low, and just contact from there. Schugel trying to keep that number 60 at bay, then comes up to Kaloff, makes more contact there. The 29 destroyed. That's Bryce Kohler. And the front end is gone for that Ford Mustang. Yellow flags coming late in the day here. With 15 to go, we're pacing again. Officially speaking, River Page has taken it to the track, by the way. He finds himself scored 38th. He is on pit road as it stands. Drivers come down to repair more damage, but overall, those who stayed out for the most part will remain right where they are. Aiden Walker retains the race lead. Skylar Comstock will retire after that incident. Mitchum, Sean Rowe, Josh Kenyon, James Thurston, top 5 once again. It'll be 12 laps to go when we go back green. Now time running out, and yellow is playing against the field. Very unlikely now that we know who to predict as our race winner. Aiden Walker, though, has been able to lead back-to-back restarts, and he's kept himself comfortable on the inside line. Not a lot of time in that run, less than a lap anyway, but it appears now that with these short stints, Walker taking big advantage. If there is a yellow flag after lap 96, any caution, that will send us into overtime and give the drivers one last shot to finish this race under green. Getting dangerously close to hitting that point, of course. We'll go back green at about lap number 89 here. And then we'll have the 90s to finish it off. Mitchum, second place. We mentioned that beforehand. Some drivers who have now slid back into the top 10, though. 32nd up to 9th. That is Aaron Schugel. So he's made his way back up nearly a total now of 20-plus places. Impressive to see Schugel's come back, but it looks like both his teammates caught up in that incident. Of course, you saw Corey Lyles. Now Lyles is going to be on the lead lap once again. And Henry Kaloff. Kaloff, and that number 63 is scored 14th, getting back on the way. One to green, 12 laps to go. And the excitement of this night, of course, not going to end with this race. 9:30 p.m. Eastern. If you're watching right now and you like what you're watching with the IORA Cup Series, you surely will enjoy what's next. The Highline Racing League, Gen 6. The action begins at 9:30 p.m. Eastern for 80 more laps at Daytona. Very similar to what we're seeing right now. Hopefully, it'll be as exciting immediately after the facts. Sean Rowe warming up those tires ever so slightly. Aiden Walker again takes it to the high side. He's been comfortable there as the control car, and he'll continue that trend. We'll see what happens now. Overall, 20 drivers on the lead lap. It looks like still, based on who's on pit road, we have about 30 still left with a shot to race. Reese Evans, P30, is 8 laps down and just got back on the circuit. It's that never say die attitude that will keep these drivers in it, even when the fight gets to its last moments. Pace car dives low again, a dozen laps to go. Here we have it again, a dozen laps remaining, and the big question becomes whether or not, of course, Michael Mitchum or Aiden Walker or these juggernauts will keep it up in front. Track position has proven interesting, and of course it's proven essential. We've watched the stories of drivers heading down a pit road, when they've gone down a pit road, when they've decided to take tire, take fuel, but that's never a guarantee that all this waiting game plays out as successful. Some drivers, just outside the top 10, have gone down a pit road multiple times since that last green flag cycle just to keep freshening up. And while sometimes it proves essential to have that new rubber or a little bit more fuel in the tank, at Daytona, usually it's quite the opposite. You can last longer with a little bit less usually. Those tires don't matter unless they're really shredded, and the fuel, as long as you get to the checkered flag, you'll be all right. Drivers in the pack don't have to push all too much, and so the strategy game is very different. It has the same variables where you have to worry about the tires and fuel, but it's not at all the same game played as it would be for the rest of the season. To the point now, Aiden Walker getting pushed by Mike Mitchum. This will be for 10 laps to go. Lap number 91 we're coming up on. Again, lap 96 and beyond sends us to overtime, which would keep the race going past lap 100. So we are on the verge of what could be a green-white checkered finish. Not a guarantee in the slightest, but now with double file racing and still upwards of 15 drivers in the main pack, this colorful sea of Camaros, Mustangs, and Camrys, of course, they could all make it under green, or they could all get destroyed. Up high, here comes Thurston with help from Frank DeAngelis and also Alex Anderson. Anderson has to lie back. All the while, Aiden Walker still keeps himself middle of 3, and at the very front of it all still is Mike Mitchum. Mitchum now sees Sean Rowe go high. Sean is out for his own victory tonight. Not a doubt in my mind that Sean wants to right the wrongs and reverse the order that we saw last season. Daniel Mosteller just barely pulling out in the head of the line, leaving Rowe P2. He's been looking for a race victory for several seasons now. He's been oh so close. It could be the night. Sean Rowe gets the job done. 9 to go. Drivers scraping up into the outside wall. One of them is Daniel Mosteller. He can't afford to have that happen. The 87 real close to giving up a shot in defending this race win. With the exception of Mosteller, never has a championship winner won the Daytona race of their title-winning season. Demos, the only exception, doing it in Season 6. So maybe luck and superstition plays a role here in who backs off and who goes for it full on. Ride on board with Mosteller here, and you'll see he's in the thick of it here, and I'm sure everybody knows. Mosteller keeps himself up in this bubble. There's nowhere you can go when you're all the way up on the high side. The inside can escape, the middle can back out. You're pressed against the wall, and the wall is never a friend when you're a driver. Up top, with 7 laps to go, we come around this time by. Chase Schaefer's back on track. He is 36th. So he really doesn't have any implications in tonight's racing. Nevertheless, that number 99 is on the way. He's going to keep himself with the leaders here just as an additional cog in the system, but very unlikely he goes out there and tries to race to the front of this pack, as he's 86 laps down, and mathematically he cannot win. 7 to go this time by. While he's on lap 8, the rest of the field is on lap 94. DeAngelis, Mosteller, only 2 drivers who are going to keep themselves up and ahead on that 3-wide motion. You got Douglas Newbigging also looking at it, but Doug doesn't have all too much help. He tries to tag along with River Page, who as well, he finds himself on the track 85 laps down. River just came around for what is his 10th lap of the day. All the while, the field moves on to lap number 95. Next lap is the go big or go home moment as drivers get in the wall. There's the 35. It's going to be Lyban Van Leer. The rookie slams the wall viciously, but gets away. And it would have been catastrophic, but luckily that number 35 keeps it collected, and again, the rookie has to pay the biggest price. 6 laps to go. When we come across this line, any other yellow flag or any non-white flag would extend this race past lap 100 and keep us moving into IORA overtime. It will be the first time this season, of course, but it wouldn't be the first time this race has gone to such lengths. 3 wide with Thurston on the bottom. He's got himself the low. Walker's got the middle. DeAngelis has the high groove, all of which with different stories. Some 35 laps to go, we wouldn't imagine that DeAngelis would have himself back in this point, and yet he's here and he's got a real shot, as does Aiden Walker. Walker rides through the middle of the track. Thurston has himself from 19th to 1st on the day, and now he's clear once again. The entire field lies behind him. "10 miles, 4 laps. Thurston is being kept honest, though. It doesn't look like he's going to get away fully. He gets a few turns to his own, but immediately is brought right back to earth. And that's where you realize as a driver, try as you may, you cannot escape the pack in Daytona. Whether you're too fast for it or you're too slow for it, there is no give or take. Quite like what we see here in Daytona. You can't replicate it. You couldn't imagine it anywhere else. Alexander Balderas tries high. The 95 leading a groove. DeAngelis decides to go middle. That's a major decision with such little time remaining. DeAngelis seeing a little hope in that outside groove, leaving it to dry. Balderas now tries to resurrect it, but he's not getting enough help up there. It looks like he doesn't have it in him to pull up to the front of the field, while DeAngelis now has everything he needs. Confidence, numbers behind him, and of course, he's got clean air. With a shot now to clear on Thurston, what does DeAngelis do with it? Balderas now being shoved by Daniel Mosteller. Demos will not let the 95 quit, but the 69 still has the edge. Mid-pack, Newbigging, Baker, Wilkerson, drivers who are still looking from the outside in on this battle for the top 5. Here's smack in the middle of it. 2 laps to go. Devins Baker, he's caught in the needle. He's right there. Can he find a way out? Pending a wreck? I don't think so. Alexander Balderas now ever so slightly getting closer and closer to that up front pack. Daniel Mosteller is giving him all the pushes he needs. The high side has the most momentum coming out of the turns. It looks like the 95 might just have a shot, but Thurston still leads ever so slightly into turn 3. Next lap is it. 1 lap to go. They're 3 wide from first down to 15th, and there's no room for error any longer. White flag is out. Here comes Thurston, DeAngelis, Balderas, and the rest of the pack looking to settle things to start Season 7. Frank stays up in this middle groove. He's got Walker still shoving him right behind. Thurston stays tail to the 69, and it's now door-to-door Balderas and DeAngelis with a major shove. Sean Rowe and Thurston come to the lead. Inside groove now sees it all break behind him. Big wreck further on back. Will stay green with the front of the field. It's the 29 of Rowe pushing Thurston again. Rowe's in that same position as the pusher and the shover. This time around, he's got no choice. The 96 of Thurston sent out far and wide. He's got himself the middle. Rowe's got it low. They'll go down to the grass, but it won't be enough. Sean Rowe rewrites history, wins in Daytona. He did it. The entire field explodes, but Sean Rowe did it. Watch that lap back again. Last season, he was hopeless at the line. This season, the race is his. Sean Rowe wins from Daytona. As the entire field erupted, the number 19 came through on the inside, and you saw him slide away. And as it happens here, Balderas and company get swept up. DeAngelis stayed with Thurston. Rowe was shot down low, tried to avoid contact, got hit regardless, came up the track. The entire field wrecks. Sean Rowe wins. And now let's hear that celebration. Sean Rowe, winner at Daytona. Race results read as follows. We'll hear from your top 3 right after this. Sean led 5 laps tonight, finished second last season, wins today in Daytona. Then from there, you got Mike Mitchum, who finishes in second, and James Thurston comes away in third with P4 just outside the podium in Frank DeAngelis. Alexander Balderas comes away P5 with Josh Kenyon sixth, Aiden Walker then in seventh, Jacob Wilkerson in eighth, and Daniel Mosteller P9. Michael Deitch rounds out the top 10. Then from there, you'll have 11th place scored as Corey Lyles, your pole sitter. Alex Anderson finishes 12th. Aaron Schugel 13th with Devins Baker 14th. Aladam Contreras 15th place. And Douglas Newbiggin P16. Liban Van Leer comes away 17th with Jacque Carter 18th. Corbin Collins 19th and Henry Kaloff in 20th. 21st place immediately after an Andres Varas and Chase Modzelewski in 22nd. Wayne Kennedy 23rd, Reese Evans 24th, Bryce Kohler 25th, and Skylar Comstock in 26th, with Cooper Glick P27. Braxton Whitaker 28th, Will Shack 29th, and P30, James Bomar. 31st on the day, finishing up this field, you'll see Jerry Rodriguez, Elijah Innes 32nd, Luigi Diaz-Gonzalez in 33rd, River Page 34th, Drew Lyles 36th, and then you got Schaefer, Malone, Drugman, and Jason Semedo to end the night of 39 registered starters. Nonetheless, Sean Rowe wins in Daytona. Racing redemption. And it's been a long time coming for Rowe finally finding victory lane. Same situation as it was last season for Sean. Coming out of turn 4, he was still the pusher. But tonight, he doesn't end up the one pushing a driver to victory. He makes his way there on his own. Sean Rowe, you win to start season 7. How does it feel?
Oh man, it feels great. I've been so close in this race before. Like last year, as you said, I was in the same exact position, the pusher, and I guess I learned a few things because I was able to get it done this time. But yeah, I don't know. I finished second here so much, finished in the top 5 so much, and it's good to finally get it done in the IORA season opener.
And it's a long time coming, as you mentioned. First and foremost, we ran this race out under green, which we love to see. 3 wide all throughout this final stint. And this time around, you were in the exact same spot. So what did you do different to make this such a success?
This time I think I really didn't leave anything out there. Last time, I remember Contreras was behind me, and we were really trying to set something up on him, on Demos, who was leading last year. But yeah, this time I just kind of went with it. The engine was hot. I knew I had to make a move. Mitchum peeked to the inside. I said, I'll go for it. And when Thurston didn't block, I knew I had something. And you just got to try to hold it as straight as you can there when you know there's going to be bump in there. I'm not mad about any of the bumps. Like I know that's going to happen. It's Daytona. Everyone does it. Yeah, you got to go for it. You can't leave anything out there. And I don't think I left anything out there tonight.
And it looks like, of course, no complaints on how the finish went, but a long race with a lot of strategy. We saw ourselves a long green flag run to get things going, of course, some 60-plus laps, so some of that came into play, a few yellow flags later on, and a big field. So how was it for you coming back here, knowing a lot was on the line and there was a lot to work with?
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I didn't compete too much last season, but I want to try to do more of the races this season. So, you got to start off with the biggest one, and I think we did that. But as you said, throughout the race, there was a lot of green flag laps. I think that created good strategy with fuel saving, and I don't love the Xfinity package that much on iRacing, but I think with the fuel strategy and everyone saving, you kind of had comers and goers throughout the run, and you could kind of control your race more so. But yeah, when that late yellow came out, I knew just be smart, stick with the lane, because if I was swapping in between, I wasn't going to go anywhere. And, it worked out and got it done.
And so kicking off the season with some major momentum, and this time the checkered flag. That would provide you a wild card berth at the very least, but a real chance to fight again for a playoff spot here. Next up on the schedule, it's going to be Auto Club Speedway. How do you feel about that?
That should be pretty fun. I did a Xfinity League race at Auto Club recently, and I'm not great with the Xfinity cars on most tracks, but I think as of recent, I've definitely been getting better. And Thurston, who's usually really good with these, as I've noticed, I was able to keep up with him in that race. So I could be a bit of a dark horse for Auto Club. You never know. I think anything's possible now. I don't have to worry about points racing, really. I just kind of got to have fun with it, go get wins, and, just have a good time, basically, and go enjoy myself.
Well, Sean Rowe kicking off the season as strong as it gets, a victory in the Daytona 250. Any final comments you'd like to send out to the audience here?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my team owner, Zachary Todriff. My teammates in this race, James Bomar, unfortunately just had really bad luck. I feel bad for him. He was he could have had a really good finish, could have won this. He's pretty good on plate racing, but it didn't go his way. I want to thank Contreras, Wilkerson for working with me on pit strategy and just throughout the race, bouncing off ideas. Yeah, thank you for putting up these streams for viewers to watch. And, I want to thank the guys at IORA for putting up a great league.
Sean Rowe, victory lane is yours to kick off Season 7. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
Next on the way will be Mike Mitchum, the number 38. We're going to speak to your second-place finisher. He finishes only about a tenth and a half away from victory, and a great way to start the season for Mitchum, building up some early momentum. Very close. It just turned out to be quite chaotic at the end. Nevertheless, Michael, you're here in P2. How does it feel?
Feels great, man. It's a really good way to start out the season. I think we had a strong number 38 Chevy Camaro out there, and we were able to keep it up front for quite some time. I mean, I led about 25 laps there, but Just wasn't quite enough there at the end, but very good finish. I'm very happy with it.
And you proved to be great at these long green flag runs, particularly when it comes to strategy. That played in your favor again with leading laps. We saw more green flag laps in this running of the IORA 250 than we have before, especially with that great middle run. So how was it for you? You started 11th and got a lot of time in between the race to develop to get up front.
Yeah, it was it was a long one. I mean, the temps is something I can complain about. Our temps just got up super fast. I mean, you'd get behind someone and they just rocketed right up, and you were instantly on the verge of blowing. So, you really had to manage them whenever you were pushing, or even third, fourth, fifth car in line. You really had to worry about the temps there. But when you could get out front, or you could be maybe a little further back, it was a little more tame. And yeah, leading those laps there was certainly a lot of fun, and controlling the lines there with Josh Kenyon and Frank, and yeah, it was just a really fun race.
And that final run, also able to run it under green. So with that said, how was it for you in the middle of this three-wide action? You weren't with us for our last Daytona race in this league, but you came in strong tonight and proved you had your place.
Yeah, that the three wide race in there, it just made me feel powerless. I couldn't make a move. I mean, it was fun, don't get me wrong. It was just I was very bottled up. I couldn't really push or lag back or make a move. It was just, I don't know, I was getting a little annoyed there, but we were able to get a clearance there coming to the line, and I just tried to make whatever move I could, and it worked out.
And to start your season off with a second place run, giving you a real good shot to go for a full-time campaign and keep the momentum moving as we go next to Fontana. You put together a victory and a few pole positions last season. How do you feel about your chances in the next coming races?
Yeah, I feel great. I think we're coming in hot this year, and I'm ready for a really good IORA season with all the fellas up in here.
With that said, Mike Mitchum, number 38 team, pulls through for a podium run to kick off the season. If you have any final comments you'd like to give out, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I just want to give a big shout out to racecpi.com and simshot.com helping out here. Make sure to go over there and get your sets and equipment. Thank you, David.
Mike Mitchum, second place from Daytona. Thank you again for your time. And lastly of your podium, we'll hear from him, and then we'll head on to our next race. It's the 96, Jim Thurston. Let's get that number 96 in with us right now. Thurston proves again to be strong at these super speedways, and a quarter of a second off victory in a chaotic finish. Thurston, you round out our top three.
Yeah, I sure do.
Well, it seems not all too enthused with how it went out there at the very end. Your chances at winning largely changed by that last lap incident. How were those final few laps for you, if you could walk us through it?
It's feeling pretty good there. We were leading the race. Felt pretty confident on the bottom. Didn't really think any moves would happen from directly behind me because I had the bottom so closed off. Seemed pretty good off of 4. He got clear. He could have gone up, but it looks like instead of going up, he took advantage of the fact we don't penalize going below the line, along with the entire line behind him. And everybody went down there, and he won the race. So, yep, that's what happened. Got third.
And it looks like a night you'll want to move past from rather quickly. We have ourselves Auto Club Speedway coming up next as our second race. Think there's a chance to turn the tide and come back to victory lane?
Yep. I think that we stand a pretty good chance there. You don't have to get pushed to win there.
With that said, James Thurston, third on the day here from Daytona. Any final shout-outs?
Thanks to Power Smash Infinity Speed Motorsports, Murphy Esports, and JRS Setups. Just all the great people that make this 96 car go fast.
That said, James Thurston rounds out the podium here from Daytona to start Season 7. Thank you again for stopping by.
Thank you.
And with the 96 on the move, you've heard from your top three. James Thurston third, Mike Mitchum second, and Sean Rowe winning from Daytona and rewriting that history from last season. I'll tell you this much, we've got a race to catch in Daytona in just a few minutes. If you enjoyed coverage of tonight, we're not done. We'll kick off the Highline Racing League broadcast in just about 5-6 minutes, and we'll go from there. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Coverage from the virtual Daytona International Speedway with the IORA Cup Series and the start of Season 7. I've been David Croyt, your commentator and producer. If you enjoyed, leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for tuning in to start the season. We'll be back next Thursday night at the Auto Club Speedway, and we'll be back to start the Highline Racing League in just a few minutes if you're watching live. So, with that said, we hope you have a fantastic night and enjoy the rest of your racing season.